As I'm sure you all know, after 2 years of vigorous campaigning, the US presidential election is now just 5 weeks away. 2 years of debates, primaries, caucuses, tracking polls, mainstream media, talking heads, conservative bias, liberal bias, campaign rhetoric, racism, sexism, and ageism, and it's all about to end. Looking back at this campaign, what issues do you think the average Americans have paid the most attention to? Healthcare? The war? The economy? Well, yeah, I mean, we've spent some time paying attention to those issues, but it seems to me that we've spent a great deal more time paying attention to lipstick on pigs, or pit bulls, or pregnant daughters, or how many houses a particular candidate owns. And I mean, who can really blame us? Frankly, things like the economy are boring. $700 billion bailout? Meh, who cares? Let's just go watch some football. We live in a media-driven society, and the media exists in a money-driven environment. It's a textbook example of a prisoner's dilemma. If one media network sacrifices its journalistic integrity for the sake of entertainment, the other networks must follow suit or else risk being put out of business by the flashiest network. Now, while the who, the where, and the when of how this cycle started are debatable, what is undeniable is that this cycle has and continues to happen. Is this necessarily a bad thing? Well, at its core, yes, but as long as people continue to do some research for themselves and to make decisions based on more than just what the media tells them, our democracy will remain strong. This is what I'm afraid, however, not enough people are doing. We work hard in America, and when Joe Schmo gets home from work, the last thing he wants to do is serious, objective research to figure out which candidate he thinks will be a better president. So he doesn't, and when he goes to vote, instead of voting for who he thinks will make a better president, instead he votes for who he likes more based on what the media has told him. That's how we got 8 years of George W. Bush. But this goes beyond George W. Bush. This goes beyond Bush, beyond Obama, beyond McCain, beyond Republicans, beyond Democrats. No, this issue is an American issue. Deep down, regardless of your political affiliation, if you have been paying any attention at all these last couple of years, you've felt it. America is slipping. It's as though we've started to take our status for granted, like we think that things will automatically go well for us just because we're America. All the while, we're losing our national identity. We're losing the sense of what it means to be an American. I mean, what does it mean to be an American today? In the 1940s, Americans were bound together, determined to defeat the evil that was Adolf Hitler. In the 1960s, Americans were bound together, determined to put man on the moon. But today, what are we? Frankly, what we are is an apathetic superpower whose people care more about the game of politics than the serious implications of politics. This is a problem, and while we are so far, for the most part, unscathed, we won't be so lucky forever. Now, I had the opportunity to go see last week a lecture by David Gergen. You may know Gergen as that one really smart guy on CNN. But aside from being the best talking head the mainstream media has to offer, David Gergen has worked under Presidents Nixon, Ford, Reagan, Clinton, has written a book called Eyewitness to Power, and is a professor at Harvard. The guy is pretty damn accomplished. Now, he started the lecture by going through the state of the presidential election as he saw it, and to a political junkie like myself, while it was certainly interesting, it was mostly stuff that I already knew. What really stuck with me about the lecture, though, was what Gergen said towards the end. See, Gergen has been at the right hand of power since the 1970s. He's seen the presidential style of Republicans and Democrats, good presidents and bad presidents. This provides Gergen with an insight, perhaps greater even than many who have become president, as to what is required in our nation's leader, as to what works and what doesn't work in the Oval Office. So what Gergen said that really stuck with me was that looking beyond November 4th and January 20th, beyond the verbal gaffes and just general craziness of the campaign, that the challenges our next president will face will be among the most trying challenges of our nation's entire history. Gergen described these challenges as gathering storms, things that we've been able to see coming, but have failed to act upon accordingly. In these last couple of weeks, we've seen the front edge of one of these storms make metaphorical landfall in the form of our current financial crisis. To quote Gergen, "When you have way too much debt, things can come down on you pretty fast. Yeah, just ask Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. What's even scarier, however, is that our current financial crisis is just one of many gathering storms that our nation is going to have to face in the next couple of years. What are we going to do as the baby boom generation retires? I mean, it's not easy for a nation to take care of millions of old people while simultaneously looking for people to fill in the jobs that they're leaving. What are we going to do about the current foreign policy mess that we're in? I mean, we have way too many troops stuck in Iraq, not enough troops fighting in Afghanistan, and Pakistan is becoming more threatening by the day. What are we going to do about climate change? Instead of working to reduce our negative impact on the environment, instead we've done essentially nothing. And even if we somehow manage to get our act together, what do we do to make sure that nations like China and India do the same? When talking about climate change, Gergen said, and I quote, "We've got to do the impossible because we cannot stand the alternative." So how could we have let these gathering storms sneak up on us so quickly? It all comes back to our own apathy. At the core of our democracy is this idea of progress, that successive generations should become more and more prosperous. My parents' generation, those who were about my age when Watergate was happening, grew into their political consciousness, however, with the idea that this progress would be automatic. See, until Watergate, the government had the credibility for leaders like Roosevelt and Kennedy to ask Americans to serve their country and subsequently promote prosperity. Watergate was a crushing blow to that credibility. Ever since, the American people have grown more and more disconnected from their government. They think they'll take care of their own business and the government will take care of its own business. The problem is that's not how it works in a democracy. I mean, we've gotten away with it so far, but I assure you, we will not be able to get away with it much longer. So how do we fix this? As I said before, this problem is a problem that exists beyond party lines. I mean, beyond the different candidates for president. Regardless of who wins this election, simply electing a new president will not fix the problem. What we must do is we must work as a nation to close the current disconnect between the American people and our government. We must work to restore our sense of obligation to the country. While we've dug ourselves deep into a pit of distractions and apathy, and while the resulting challenges are daunting to say the least, the solution is nothing complex. It's just something that hasn't happened for far too long. I believe that we, the American people, are ready, and that when the next president is sworn into office, all that they need to do is ask for our trust and ask for our service. National service, be it military, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, or something else, is the most direct way that we can begin to close the gap between the American people and our government. And while national service alone won't fix the current financial crisis or bring an end to global warming, in working towards closing the gap between the American people and our government, we work towards eliminating the apathy that caused us to ignore these issues in the first place. This is the beginning of the rise of a new generation, and my question is, how will we be remembered? Will we be more of the same? More of the self-centered me mentality that puts our needs ahead of the nation's needs? Or will we be the generation that steps up to the plate and recognizes that if we are to have any chance against these gathering storms, that it can't just be about me, it has to be about us? I, for one, choose the latter. It's time to wake up.